All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Tuesday, January 14th. We have a 7-game NBA slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to my final play, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, that'll all be down in the pinned comment. Before we do get to the rest of the video, let's go ahead and run the intro. Yes, I said let's go ahead and run the intro. We have an intro now. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. All right, there it is. Let me know what you guys think of the intro down in the comments. Maybe it will bring us some luck because we sure need it here. Now, it was nice to hit Zubats there. We had him over 11.5, which is a safer line, and then the other half of the unit for plus money there at over 12.5. But we really loved the Warriors yesterday. They do not come through for us, and honestly, Chris Boucher can go whatever himself. He absolutely torched them in the fourth quarter. They were calling him Closer Chris on the broadcast. Lakers money line, they just absolutely flopped in the fourth quarter. So yeah, this Burr streak kind of continues, hoping our luck changes pretty damn soon. A lot of our calls, that's why like a lot of these comments that I'm seeing are just not even relevant. A lot of our calls, even in yesterday's video, were really good. So it's not like we're seeing the board poorly. Do you know what I mean? It's such a weird place to be in right now. It's my decision making of what becomes final plays that is the issue right now. So that's what we got to figure out. But the breakdown and the analyzation of these games, like a lot of these are spot on. We just don't have the cojones to pull trigger ourselves. Very, very confused as to what's going on there, but hopefully we will figure it out. I'm confident that we will. In terms of the ride of the day, this one does not come through. Deuce McBride over 6.5 points in the Knicks money line. This is from high. We're going to share this one, right? We share that womp womp. Knicks don't even win on the money line. I believe they were like -342 or something like that. So unfortunately, this ride of the day does not come through. It was a good attempt. I liked the spot, and honestly, Deuce McBride has been so just, I mean, he was great at the beginning of the year. Then all of a sudden he kind of peels back a little bit, gets hurt too. Now, I mean, what do you have, 3 points yesterday? I don't know if we can touch the Knicks or that rotation outside of Brunson, Bridges, and Town. Some of those role players may not be getting the volume. But the ride of the day does not hit there, guys. If you don't know what the ride of the day is, it's simple. Just use that hashtag ride of the day in the comments. I'm jumping on board with one person's play each and every day, giving you a shout out in the next video, win or loss, giving you a shout out over on my Twitter/X, which is right there. You also get a shout out over on the final plays by the Guy Boston Sports site. So get that hashtag ride of the day. I picked the person's comment that has the most likes. I check back later this afternoon. Whichever one has the most likes, that's what we're going to roll with. So definitely scroll down in the comments and find a play that you guys do like, and hit the like button because we'll all ride with it together. If you win, we continue to ride with your plays. If you lose, you get the shout out. But we do have to drop the womp womp like we just did. But all right, what do you say we jump into today's NBA slate? Hopefully our luck starts to turn here. We're starting it off with Philadelphia taking on OKC. Philly getting 10.5 points, which obviously makes sense against the best team as of right now in the NBA. Looks like they're going to be without Joel Embiid and Andre Drummond, which is a major factor considering that OKC just loves to live in the paint and score in the paint. So this is going to be a tough one for me to even get to Philly. Do I want to lay the 10.5 with OKC? Not particularly, but multiple reasons make this look like it is a good OKC spot. So first and foremost, like I just mentioned, in the paint, right? The Sixers team has been good at times, but definitely has struggled at times, and I expect without their two biggest bodies down there, they will struggle in the paint today, and this is the Thunder team that obviously is going to love to get into the paint. Over the last 3 games, 6th most points in the paint. They actually have a 49% field goal percentage in the paint over the last 10 games, so they're scoring in the paint what seems like, you know, going through Swiss cheese or hot butter when they want to, and obviously they have a guy named Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's one of the best paint scorers in the game. Speaking of Shai and that offense, they run the 5th highest frequency of isolation so far this season. And Philadelphia, in terms of effective field goal percentage against, sitting at 25th, and then score percentage, which includes foul shots. So if you get fouled, you get to the line and score. It counts towards these isolation numbers, 22nd. So OKC should be able to score in the paint and in the paint off of isolation. No reason for me to like Philly here. I just have to decide if we like the idea of laying that double digits, having OKC have to win by 11. Total sitting at 218. So the past few games for Philly, we've seen some weird ones, right? We've seen a 115 to 123 against New Orleans, 109 to 103 against Washington. Then we saw a couple low scoring games. Orlando, that was a 104 to 99. Phoenix was 109 to 99. Before that, it was a 123 game they scored against Brooklyn. So this team has definitely been up and down in terms of their pace, but also just their points for. OKC, not so much, though. It seems like even if they play a, bad team or a slow team or a good defensive team, they're going to get there. So I'm going to slightly lean towards the over here. 218.5. If this was in the 220s, I probably wouldn't even sniff it. But OKC, I feel like should be able to put up a decent number here. I would consider OKC on the team total. Let's see what that is right now. I think it was, I don't know if OKC over 113.5. That may be something that I like even more than, I guess, what we have from a full game total. But I do think that, having the Sixers in there, if the Sixers can give us like 105 potentially, we could see an over. But yeah, maybe an OKC team total. And I already mentioned from a player prop perspective, Shea would be what I look at here. If this game stays close, some way, somehow, Shea should be able to do whatever he wants in the paint and get there. His line right now is at, 31.5. Last time he played the Sixers team, it was last year, be at 31. He's hit the over here in 46% of his games. Obviously, that's a super, super high number, but if there's any player that can do that consistently, it's him. All right, Indiana taking on Cleveland. If you missed it, Indiana, in their last game, they played this very Cavs team. They were 9-point underdogs. They were in Cleveland. They won the game 108 to 93. So I have a feeling Cleveland's sitting here going, we are jonesing for this game. We cannot wait for this game. I understand that, we just saw them and, the Pacers look good. And even the Pacers, as they get more and more healthy, they'll be better and better. But this is going to be a Pacers team that looks like they're going to be without Tyrese Haliburton. He's not listed in the projected. Now, we record early, but he's not listed in the projected starting lineup, and he's listed as doubtful in this one. Now, he only played, 17 minutes in the last game. He had 2 points, so it's not even like he was a factor when they won, but still, that is their starting point guard. That should be a pretty big blow to them. I think Cleveland's able to bounce back in this one, but I have a feeling the world is going to be on Cleveland today. And that line, especially without the Pacers arguably, probably not even arguably, best player not playing, it's like, what are we doing here, right? How is that thing so low? So a little bit confusing, I guess we could say there, but overall, the way that I see this Cleveland team being able to win this one is scoring in the paint. In that last game we saw, we had our eye on Evan Mobley, we had our eye on Jared Allen, and neither one of those guys really did ultimately all that much. It actually was Darius Garland who I think played above expectation, right? So in this one, I think the water finds its level. Things return to norm. I'm going to look at Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, those guys that like to score in the paint to be able to kind of carry the workload here. Right now, Evan Mobley's line is at 17.5. He had 16 in that game, and I don't think he particularly played all that well. He did shoot the ball 10 times, which this season, in terms of field goal attempts per game, he's shooting a little bit more than that, right around 12 to 13 times per game. In the last 10 games here, he's shooting the ball 13 times per game. So he took 3 less shots, and he was 1 bucket away from hitting his over, right? So I do like the idea of Evan Mobley in this one, potentially even Jared Allen as well. I think that they should be able to dominate inside. So give me the Cavs as well as those two players. Keep an eye on the final play to see if we do roll with it. In terms of what we have from a final play, total here, what does have a chance of being a final play is, I would say, Cleveland team total over. I don't know how much I love the full game over 230. I mean, we did see Cleveland struggle to score, and even the Pacers didn't play at the biggest and fastest of pace, right, at 108. But this Cleveland team, I don't know, maybe I'm sinking my teeth in too much or putting too much weight into them having this revenge narrative. Like, this is still one of the best teams in the NBA. I think that they can go out there and get theirs, and right now you can get them over 119.5 for -120. This is a Pacers team that, if you ignore that last game, it's still a Pacers team that can run and doesn't shy away from running, right? So, yeah, give me Cleveland team total over. All right, guys, before we do get to the rest of the slate, I want to talk to you about Prize Picks because it is Taco Tuesday over on Prize Picks, guys. So they're going to have discounted squares over there today. We vote for them, whether it's in Discord or Twitter, that type of thing. If you guys have not tried Prize Picks yet, no better time to do so than right now. If you hand them a $5 entry, they're going to say, okay, here's $50. They're going to give you an instant $50 into your account. You can use the link in the description as well as the pinned comment, or just download Prize Picks, deposit and sign up using code GUYBOSTON, and you will get that deal. If you don't know what Prize Picks is and you live under a rock, well, let me lift that rock, Mr. Macho Man here, and let you know all you do is pick multiple players and their stat projection. You go more or less based on those. You put them into an entry. The more you win, the more you get paid out. It's kind of like, an end-around way of doing a player prop parlay, that type of thing. But what's cool about it is that if you do a big enough entry, you don't have to hit all of them. You can hit 4 of 5 or 5 of 6 and still get paid out. You don't have to go 5 for 5 or 5 for 6 necessarily. So go ahead and check out Prize Picks, guys. That link is down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. Play 5, get 50. It's an absolute steal of a deal. Literally, you're stealing money from them. So go ahead and check it out. Now let's jump back into these games here. We got Atlanta taking on Phoenix. We did see this matchup, what was it? I want to say about 5 days ago or so, and Phoenix ended up winning 123 to 115. Surprisingly enough, we were on the right side of that one. There has not been a lot that we've been on the right side of as of late, but now we see Phoenix on the road as 5.5-point favorites. Looks like Trae Young is questionable in this one. Jalen Johnson still listed as out. Nurkic listed as out, and then there's one more. Bogdanovich listed as a game time decision as well. So some factors to keep an eye on here. It looks like Grayson Allen on the Phoenix side of things listed as probable. The same things kind of apply, I guess I would say, in terms of why I liked Phoenix the first time around. I do think that they should be able to score from deep. Now, Atlanta is at home. That obviously has got to be somewhat of a boost to, the Hawks. On the road this year, they're 9-11. At home, they're 10-7, and it's same for Phoenix. They struggle on the road, are good at home. But if Trae Young doesn't play, and you're giving me 3.5 points, or I think it's up to 5.5 with that Trae Young use now, so this graphic's slightly outdated. 5.5 points. I'm gonna lean towards obviously Phoenix. I think Devin Booker can have a good game. I think Kevin Durant can have a good game. Atlanta does not stop three-point shots all that well. In fact, if we dive into our dashboard, which I can explain in a little bit how to get access to this, it's for our Guy Boston Sports site members at the price of less than a Starbucks coffee per month. But here we go. This is really what I'm looking at here, right? You can see that Phoenix, likes to score in the paint, mid-range, corner three. They don't necessarily score from the top of the key or the above the break, but still they can. They have Devin Booker, they have Beal, they have Durant, right? And down here, Atlanta on the season, 30th in terms of points from three allowed. You can even look at the field goal percentage, 38.1% against in terms of above the break threes. Right corner, they're allowing a 51% field goal percentage against over the last 10 games. And you can see it, 20th in terms of last 7 games against the point guard in terms of threes, 30th to the power forward. So maybe there's a Kevin Durant look here. But overall, I do like the idea of Phoenix being able to score from three. Say they don't want to score from three. We can take a peek at the isolation numbers here, right? Phoenix doesn't run a lot of isolation, but technically this season, when they do, they have the number 1 score percentage in the entire league, going up against 21st in terms of effective field goal percentage and 17th in scoring percentage for Atlanta. So even if they don't want to shoot from three, they should be able to get to the hole, isolate, pull up like Kevin Durant and Devin Booker can do, right? So yeah, I don't mind the idea of Phoenix in this spot, especially if you can get it for lower than 5.5. Obviously, we see that there right now. Let's see if we can find the best odds. So 4.5 still available over on MGM right now, -115. The rest of the books looks like they're at like -130. So we might pull the trigger quick on that, but again, one, I have to second guess myself to some degree the way we've been picking lately, right? And 2, this is Atlanta at home. Phoenix is a different animal on the road. To put it in perspective, even using that dashboard again, right? Look at this. When they're on the road, they cover at a 41.2% clip. Well, that's not to say much because Atlanta only covers at a 41.2% clip at home, but they do have a way better win-loss record at home, so I think that is worth noting. But give me Phoenix as well as a potential look at Devin Booker again. I think that could be a good spot from a player prop perspective. We were spot on about that the first time around or the last time around. Hopefully it's the same case today. In terms of what we have from a total, so when these two teams played recently, we saw a 123 to 115 game, right? Which would be a quick math, 138, 238. Can't even get the math right nowadays. So that does hit the over. I do think that this one probably slows to some degree, but not enough to get me to an under. So I'll still lean towards the over. This is how you get access to that dashboard. This is the Guy Boston Sports site with all our videos and picks. You head over here to the members area. If you are not signed up, you can sign up, you can log in. You head over to NBA dashboard. I am signed in, so it's obviously going to show the dashboard, but you get each and every day a new PDF that you can print, download, zoom in, manipulate however you want, and you have each and every game broken out so that you could see all of the key stats and key metric and key spots that I like to look at from a visual perspective. And this is pulled in from a bunch of different sites out there. So yeah, consider becoming a Guy Boston member today. If you come in here and look at this without the membership access, it's obviously going to say, hey, hold up, you need a membership. The membership levels are very, very simple. $4.99 a month gets you access to all of the sports, the current two right now, NBA and NFL. I love our NFL dashboard. Or you can just go per sport. So if you want just the NBA, $2.99 per month. NFL, $2.99 per month. MLB season rolls around, same thing for MLB. So yeah, go ahead and check it out. That will be in the final plays link down in the pinned comment if you do want to check it out. But that's how you get access to our dashboard. All right, next up, Chicago taking on the Pelicans here. In terms of what we have from an injury report, there are a few things to note. Dosunmu and Kobe White listed as game time decisions, Dosunmu being a big one, right? Actually, Kobe White being a bigger one. I don't know why I would say that. DeJounte Murray is listed as probable, but he is on the injury report as of right now. I expect him to play. So this Pelicans team, yes, they just kept it close to the Celtics. They lost by, what was it, 1 point? They beat Philly. They've been playing better basketball. I should say more competitive basketball. They're still 3-7 over their last 10, but they've covered in 4 of their last 6 games. So I'll give them a little bit of credit there, but they're going up against a Bulls team that seems like they've just been on the brink of winning some of these games. I look at the game against Sacramento most recently. They lost by, 5? So they ended up covering that game, but losing it. And this Pelicans defense still just is not screaming, pick me. Like, it's still a bad defense, regardless if Murray plays or McCollum or Zion. Their defense still isn't all that great, and they still do struggle mightily in the paint. I say the Pelicans struggle in the paint, but you can look at the exact same thing and say the exact same thing about the Bulls. The Bulls are the number 30 team in terms of points in the paint allowed, so dead last, and you have the Pelicans number 29. So there should be a lot of paint scoring in this game. That total is way up there at 239. I get why, because neither one of these teams is all that good defensively. So I guess I would lean towards the over. I don't have the strongest of opinions on that. But what I do like is Chicago having, the ability to also hit the 3 ball, which I don't know if I fully trust the Pelicans to do. So if you have both teams that should have success in the paint, I give it that, right? I think Chicago is slightly better defensively on the perimeter and slightly better offensively on the perimeter. So that's going to make up my mind here. And they are the home team. They've covered in 53% of games at home this year, whereas the Pelicans sitting at a 32% cover rate. Now, the Pelicans have not been healthy, so we can't really knock them too much for their play this season, but even still, like this is a Chicago team that I think Vucevic can kind of dominate the paint, and then if Kobe White plays, that's even more of a boost to the Bulls kind of on the outside, right? Speaking of Vucevic, yeah, I do like him over in points. Right now, you can get him over 17.5, and last 2 times he's played the Pelicans, one of them being this season, one last year, last 2 times, 22 points and 21 points. We just want to make sure the field goal attempts are there. He did only shoot it 12 times when they played earlier this year, and he had 21 points. But as of late, his field goal attempts have kind of been spotty. Within the last, let's call it 20 games, right? He's had multiple games where he shoots the ball less than 10 times, and that is not exactly what we were looking for whatsoever, right? So when we look at Vucevic, his hit rate to this line, let me see if I can pull it up to get the exact number. So Vucevic, when he shoots the ball less than, let's say 10 or less times, he's hit the under in all of his games so far this year. That makes sense, right? But when he shoots the ball more than 10 times, so 11 plus, he's hit the over to this line in 25 of 30 games, and he's averaged 20.2. So we want field goal percentage. We want field goal attempts against this team, obviously. When we look at some centers recently against the Pelicans here, we had Kristaps, his line was 18.5, he had 19. Sarr his line was 13.5, he had 18. So we're really looking for those types of shots. And, he scores a lot of his points off of being the pick and roll man. That is kind of a middling point here for the Pelicans. They don't really cover that well. They don't stink at covering it, but I think that he should have some success there. I mean, even when you think of it from a perspective of who's going to be covering him, he has Mizzy, or whatever the hell the guy's name is, right? He's a big guy. Definitely isn't as big of a brute as Vooch. And if Zion gets on him, they're not going to want Zion to get in foul trouble. So he'll play some probably hands up defense type of thing. So yeah, I think I like Vooch here. Maybe we can look at him 15 plus points in some sort of a same game parlay, or maybe we get an alternate line plus 4.5, plus 5 for Chicago. But that's probably the spots that I'd look at in this one. Quick rant. I wanted to put this deeper into the video because I know the real ones are still watching at this point. I said it in a comment yesterday because obviously, I mean, what comes with the territory, getting a lot of views and doing poorly in the final plays is going to bring on a lot of, you stink, what are you doing, you should quit all this. And I don't care. Those are those people's opinions. That's fine. What I want to make very clear is the reason that I'm like, I don't care if I keep losing. I'm going to keep making videos. One, I love doing this stuff, right? So that's the biggest part. But two, I understand the value that these videos bring regardless of my win-loss record. My final plays just reflect what I'm rolling with myself, right? But I go through each and every game, give you factual information. It's not like total opinion based. When I say the Bulls are allowing the most points in the paint, that's a fact. You know what I mean? So this type of information to the people that actually listen and analyze what I'm analyzing, that's the value that it's really adding. Like I could go 0 in a million and still show up here every day and make a video and be confident in my plays because I love doing it. I love sports betting and picking. You know what I mean? So that's that part. I just wanted to make sure it's clear to the ones that are still watching why it's kind of like, oh yeah, brush it off and move on. It's like, there's two different things. My final plays, which obviously I want to be right, and if I'm hot, feel free to ride with me and all that. But then the biggest part is we are going through each and every game, giving this information, what I consider good information. Yes, I'm sharing my opinion too, but that's the type of stuff that I think really brings true value. If you didn't care about that, you could just go to GuyBostonSports.com, go to my plays, and find my final plays with no context every day, right? Which is not the ideal situation. So wanted to make that clear, and I do appreciate anyone watching as of right now. In fact, comment 21. Letting me know that you made it this far in the video, that you heard this little rant. But yeah, I wanted to put this, not at the beginning of the video, but kind of towards the end, just so the real ones hear it, and the real ones that truly rock with me know that I'm not going to get shaken by a bad record or something like that. Like, these things happen. We're in a risky business, literally, you know what I mean? So just wanted to share that. Hopefully that does make sense, and it's not one of those rants that makes sense in my brain, and you guys watching, you're like, what did he say? Let's get back to the games. All right, we got a good one here. We got Milwaukee taking on Sacramento. Milwaukee, this line has been bouncing around 2 and 2.5, so needless to say, that's where the consensus is as of right now. Sacramento, don't look now. They've won, 7 straight games? They've covered in, I think, 5 of those 7, so kudos to them. They haven't played a tough schedule this year, just a 23rd strength of schedule, which is a new thing we've added into the dashboard, which I'm very excited about. Milwaukee sitting at 20th, but I do like the idea of, a healthy Milwaukee team in this matchup. So Giannis is listed as probable, but he's been probable for a million games in a row now. I do think he has, knee inflammation or something like that, but overall he's still been playing, but it's like something tendinopathy. I can't pronounce it. I'm not a doctor. I do YouTube videos for a living, right? But overall, he's been playing through it. So yeah, let's just keep an eye on that, because if he's good to go, if he's at shoot around, he's listed in the starting lineup, I don't mind Milwaukee in this spot, simply because this game to me should be won by Milwaukee on the outside. They have the sixth most points per game from 3 so far this year. They haven't exactly been shooting that well in their last 3 games. San Antonio, Orlando, and New York. Decent defenses, though, right? This Sacramento team, I give them credit for being a good defense, but it is so particular to the inside. The closer you get to the hoop, the better the Sacramento defense is. From above the break 3, 38.3% field goal percentage against. And this is a Milwaukee team that obviously can shoot the 3. Not crazy amount. Like, they will still get into the paint, and that's kind of feeding into Sacramento's likeness. You know what I mean? Like, Sacramento wants you to come into the paint, but overall, if Milwaukee does decide to shoot the 3, whether Brook Lopez is doing it, Damian Lillard's doing it, AJ Green's doing it. Like, they have a lot of guys on this squad. I think Gary Trent Jr. may be out, and same with Middleton, but to me, as sad as it is, Middleton's not as much of a factor as it used to be, and Gary Trent Jr. hasn't been the biggest of factors anyway. So this really is going to come down to Lillard, Giannis, Lopez. Honestly, their starting lineup, right? So I think that if Milwaukee's threes are on, then we could see a win here. We saw that against, San Antonio a few games ago. They did beat Orlando. Orlando also a very good defense. And in terms of how Milwaukee shot against them, I guess kind of just middle of the road, but still a quality win, right? And then they get spanked by New York. That was a weird like afternoon game, 140 to 106. New York had one of their better games, so not putting too much fault on Milwaukee for that one. In New York, afternoon game could be weird. So Milwaukee minus the points, I think they can dominate the perimeter. And speaking of where Sacramento, I mean, I've been talking about their defense. They also are going to like to score kind of in the paint in the mid-range. Milwaukee very good at defending that. Sacramento will take plenty of threes, which you can still get Milwaukee, but it doesn't seem like it's their preference as of late. So they're hitting their threes. Sure, that's how you can make your argument, right? But with De'Aaron Fox back, he should be good to go. And Malik Monk potentially missing this game, I think they're going to rely heavily on getting to the hoop, which should favor the Bucks as they're pretty sound defensively down there. In terms of what we have from a total, I don't mind the idea of an under here. 228.5 seems just a tad high for me in this one, so I'll lean under again. That's where I'm giving Sacramento some defensive, I guess, presence and some credibility. Milwaukee, even though I'm saying they'll win the game on the perimeter, they'll still take plenty of shots in the paint, and I don't think that is going to be all that much of a success rate for them. So yeah, I'll lean towards the under 228.5. What worries me is you have the number 6 pace team over the last 10 games in Milwaukee and the number 10 pace team in Sacramento. That's a little bit scary to think about overall, that both these teams kind of run a fairly fast game. Now, player prop wise, I kind of mentioned it and I've already said it multiple times. I do like Damian Lillard because of what I'm seeing from the perimeter. So Damian Lillard points could be a good look here in terms of how he likes to score his points. Obviously, he's one of those guys that can definitely get into the hoop. Get to the hoop and everything like that. Like we know that, you know what I mean? But overall, I think this is going to be a good spot for him to be able to also come off pick and rolls, stop and pop, and maybe find some other guys for catch and shoot. So maybe there's a potential look at like a, points plus assists, something like that as well. All right, Dallas taking on Denver. We just saw this matchup. Also, I believe that was in Dallas, if I'm not mistaken, right? And Denver ends up winning that one. Was it 112 to 100, 112 to 101, something like that? But we do have some injury updates here. Kyrie Irving listed as questionable, which he's been out for the last few games. So obviously that's a little bit of a boost, right? On the other side of things, Jamal Murray and Jokic listed as questionable. Aaron Gordon listed as questionable. Strother, who's been giving them minutes when guys are injured, listed as questionable. So tons of questionabilities here in this one. If Kyrie plays, I don't think that I mind the idea of a potential look for Dallas. I mean, this Denver defense isn't all that spectacular. And I do think Kyrie can kind of sure things up for them to some degree, right? So, yeah, I don't mind the idea of Dallas. I think that I'd actually look at an under, though. I know I just mentioned Denver's defense not being all that great, but to me, both of these teams should want to, like, we saw it in that last game, and obviously Kyrie didn't play, so that's a little bit different, but 112 to 101, like, we saw them play slow against one another, so I don't think that that's all that poor of a look. We've seen high and low scoring games between these two teams over the last couple of years. We've seen a 107 to 105 game, a 112 to 101 game. Then we've seen a 120 to 123 game, 130 to 104 game. So it's like we definitely have seen some up and down over the last couple of years between these two. But I'm going to take what we have recently to look at here and say lean towards an under. This Dallas defense, even though Luke has been out, the defense I still do believe in to some degree. And Denver's defense, a little shaky to me. Like they're allowing some big numbers to good opponents overall, but hopefully Dallas can keep this to maybe scoring 110 maximum. And if I think they're going to win the game, then I guess Denver's only going to, or not win the game, cover, then Denver's scoring 114 max. So that's 224 in my dumb brain. I guess that's how that I would look at it. In terms of player props, I still do give a lot of credit to, obviously, Jokic down low. We had him in the same game parlay. Didn't work out last time, but you can target both of these teams in the paint. It's just a matter of who do you want to trust for Dallas in the paint. Maybe Kyrie now that he's back, but Jokic seems like it's always a safe look just due to the fact that, that's going to be their primary paint scorer. No kidding, right? Russell Westbrook, I mentioned Murray and Jokic listed as questionable. Russell Westbrook has been a beast in times of injury for other guys, as well as just as of late. Like his last 4 games here, his last 5 games actually, he's averaging 20 points. That's including a 9-point game as the 5th most recent. Last 4 games, 26, 19, 25, 21. He's averaging over his last 4 games. Let's see if we have that quick math here. Over his last 4 games, when I say quick math, I'm filtering it down to the last 4 games because I don't want to do the math. He's averaging 22 points, 22.8 points per game. I don't mind that because obviously where is he going to score from? In the paint, right? And that's where you can get at Dallas. So maybe a Russell Westbrook over 13.5 points is a look as well, potentially. All right, we saved the best for last. Kidding. We have Portland taking on Brooklyn here for the 7th game of the slate. Portland 6-point favorites. I honestly kind of like the matchup for Portland. Obviously, I tell you guys what I like to look at, and it's them winning the paint, and that's how they can keep games close. But we're not too familiar with dealing with Portland as favorites, right? When I say keep games close, it's because they're usually getting 7 points, 8 points, that type of thing. So this is a little bit different than what you guys coined in the comments as me being the Portland whisperer. I think that I'm going to actually just look at the over in this game and kind of get out of here. I think that both these defenses stink, and, maybe we can get to 218, right? That's only asking for 109 from each of these squads, which, yes, that can be kind of like pulling teeth at some point, but over the last couple games here, Brooklyn's hit the over in this in 2 straight games, and 3 of the last 4 for Portland have gone over. In fact, Portland, 8 of their last 10 have gone over this number. So yeah, I mean, I really can't seem to get behind Portland here. I do think that it's a good matchup for them, but them as favorites, no siree. Give me Brooklyn as well as the over. I like the over a lot more. And then a player prop here now, Nick Claxton listed as questionable. Actually, D'Angelo Russell listed as questionable as well, which I think would help an over, you know what I mean? Pushing the pace and whatnot. But a player prop that I don't necessarily mind would be a guy that some way, somehow, we've started to be able to pick well, and it's good because he's not going off in most games, right? Like, he's struggling in plenty of games, but I don't mind DeAndre Ayton in this one. Keep an eye on, or keep your ear on the pulse of what I just said. I do not mind. I'm not sitting here being like, I'm goo goo gaga over DeAndre Ayton, right? But this is a spot in which similar players have played really well against this team, and Brooklyn doesn't really prevent scoring in the paint. So points in the paint so far this season, this Brooklyn team let's see if we can figure out where they are. So points in the paint, they are allowing the 25th over the last 3, 18th on the season. So let's just split that, right? Let's say the 20th. In terms of when DeAndre Ayton plays against teams and their points in the paint. Let's see if we can pull that up. We had it up here somewhere in our notes. Boom. Okay, so anyone ranked from 20th to 30th in the league in terms of points in the paint, DeAndre Ayton's averaging 14 points per game. He's hit 9 of 15 games. The more and more you dwindle that down, so say this 24th in the paint, he's hit it in 6 of 10. He's hit it in 5 of 9. Like these numbers get more and more. So the worse they are in the paint, especially with Nick Claxton being out, could be a good look for DeAndre Ayton. Now it sounds like I love DeAndre Ayton. I said I don't mind it, right? He's still a risky as all hell guy to put your hard-earned bread on. But guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the show. Appreciate everyone still tuning in. If you're watching to this moment, holy crap, that means a lot because I'm sure all the guppies out there, and rightfully so. I can't be loud against the guppies right now. We've been pretty damn bad, but all the guppies probably are coming in here commenting, you stink, you should quit, and leaving, right? Which, like I said, I can't say much against the guppies. We got to let our picks do the talking against the guppies. Yes, I could be like, I'm giving all this information and whatnot, but still, I know what the guppies are after. That's my motivation to try and right the ship. But overall, guys, do appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully, you guys liked the intro. Let me know what you think of the intro in the comments. We'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.